Hi, boys and girls. I've picked out this book, Curious George's First Day of School, to read to you today. I hope you enjoy it. There he goes with the man in the yellow hat, and you can see his little lunch pail right there. All right, let's see how his first day goes. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, George was so excited he could barely eat his breakfast. You have a big day ahead of you, George, said his friend, the man with the yellow hat. It was a big day for George. It was the first day of school, and he had been invited to be a special helper. George and his friends walked together to the schoolyard. Some of the children were nervous, but George could not wait for the fun to begin. In the classroom, George's friend introduced himself to Mr. Apple. Thank you for inviting George to school today, the man with the yellow hat said to the teacher. Then he waved goodbye. Have a good day, George. I'll be back to pick you up after school. Oh, and here you can see the classroom, the teacher, and all the little kids. They've got their lunch pails. The children were excited to have a monkey in class. George is going to be our special helper, Mr. Apple told him. You can see him up on a chair, and he's waving and he's talking to the kids. Maybe he's just waving. And what a helper he was. A story time, George held the book. At math time, the children could count on George. And at recess, George made sure everyone had a ball and a well-balanced snack. Oh, they were having fun. They're tossing all the balls around and they're balancing lunch pails on their head. After lunch, Mr. Apple got out paints and brushes. George saw red, yellow, and blue paint. These colors were not very many. George was curious. Could he help make more colors? You can see all the red and yellow and the blue paint. First, George mixed red and blue to make purple. Next, George mixed red and yellow to make orange. Then George mixed yellow and blue to make green. Finally, George mixed all the colors to make, what do you think that's going to make when he's mixing everything together? A big mess. The children thought the mess was funny, but Mr. Apple did not. Oh dear, he said, we are going to need something to clean this up. Everyone, please sit quietly while I look. Look at George, he's up on the table. Oh, uh-oh. George did not mean to make such a mess, and he certainly did not want to sit quietly. He wanted to help, but it was his job. After all, George had an idea. In the hallway, George found a closet. In the closet, he found a bucket. In the bucket, he found just what he needed. A mop. And there he goes. He's using it like a scooter. George was on his way back to the classroom when he heard somebody yell, "Stop, stop, what are you doing with my mop?" The janitor ran after George. "Stop, stop, stop running. No running in the halls," the principal ran after the janitor. But George was going too fast to stop. He grabbed the doorway and he swung inside. Splosh, splosh, the bucket tipped. The mop dropped and George slid across the floor. Now the mess was even bigger. Mr. Apple looked surprised. The principal frowned. The janitor just shook his head. And George, poor George, he felt terrible. Maybe he was not such a good helper after all. Oh, look at that mess. That's the the children felt terrible too. They did not like to see George looking so sad. They thought he was a great helper. Now they wanted to help him. So the children all lent a hand, and some feet. Look at that. They've got little sponges on their hands and toes, their feet, and they're just trying to soak up all the water and paint. And before anyone knew it, the mess was gone. The little monkey sure is helpful, the janitor said. It looks like Mr. Apple has a whole class full of helpers, the principal said. They got the mess all cleaned up. At the end of the day, when George's friend arrived to pick him up, Mr. Apple said, "Thank you for all your help, George. We hope you will come help us again." The children cheered. They hoped George would come again, too. George waved goodbye to his new friends. What a great day it had been. He could not wait to come back to school. And you know what I thought would be a fun idea? I've packed a tray of watercolors for you guys, and I thought you might want to do a little paint mixing. You can mix up the paints like they said in the book to make other colors. That would be kind of fun. All right, guys, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed the book, and I'll be reading off and on. Talk to you soon. Bye.